My name is Sarah Chen Morrison, and for 7 years, I believed my husband when he said the baby would make everything perfect. The first contraction hit at 3:47 a.m. on September 15th, 2024, in Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it was the fraud alert on my phone that really took my breath away. International wire transfer of $523,000 initiated from your joint checking account. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below. My water had broken 20 minutes earlier, and Marcus was supposedly parking the car. But as I refreshed our banking app with shaking hands, every account showed zero, and I knew that the man I'd loved since I was 25 had just stolen everything while I was about to give birth to his child. If something like this has happened to you, share your experience in the comments. Before we continue, please hit that like button. It really helps share these important stories. And subscribe if you want to hear more stories of justice being served. But what he didn't know was that my grandfather's $50 million trust fund would activate the moment our child was born, and that international courts don't look kindly on men who abandon their wives during childbirth. The nurse, Maria, found me hyperventilating over my phone as another contraction rolled through my body. "Honey, you need to focus on breathing," she said. But I was already calling Marcus, my fingers slippery with sweat, as I dialed the number I knew by heart. Straight to voicemail. His phone was off, but the Find My iPhone app showed him at SFO International Terminal. And that's when I knew this wasn't some mistake or misunderstanding. Another alert popped up. $324,000 transferred from our savings account, the one we'd been building for Charlotte's college fund, for the house renovation, for the life we'd planned during those long conversations over wine when he'd traced circles on my pregnant belly and promised me the world. My brother James burst through the hospital door because I'd managed to call him between contractions, and the look on his face told me everything before he even spoke. "Sarah, the bastard maxed out 3 credit cards in your name and took a $200,000 loan against the house yesterday," he said, and I screamed, not from the pain of labor, but from the rage of understanding that every "I love you" had been a lie. A text arrived from an unknown number with a photo that made my blood run cold. Marcus in first class, champagne glass raised in a toast. His arm around Brittany, his 24-year-old client, who I'd been told was just really passionate about real estate investment. She was wearing the La Perla lingerie I'd found the receipt for, the one he'd said was a gift for her boyfriend, and her left hand sported a diamond ring that I recognized because it was supposed to be my push present, the one he'd shown me online last month. The message read, "Thanks for funding our new life in Dubai. He says the baby isn't even his anyway. Good luck," with a kiss emoji that felt like a slap across my face. Can you believe he said that? Let me know in the comments. Maria held my hand as another contraction peaked, and she whispered, "Channel that anger into pushing, honey. Let's get this baby here safely," not knowing that in 4 hours, everything would change, that the grandfather I'd thought had left me nothing but memories had actually left me an empire that would activate the moment I became a mother. 2 weeks before this nightmare, I'd confronted Marcus about that La Perla receipt, and he'd sighed with that particular exhaustion he reserved for my paranoid episodes, closing his laptop deliberately, slowly, as if I were a child interrupting important work. "You're being paranoid again, Sarah. Brittany is a client. The Dubai project requires face-to-face meetings. It's called relationship building. Maybe if you understood business instead of wasting your MBA at that charity, you'd know that." The gaslight burned so bright, I could still feel its heat as I pushed through another contraction, remembering how he'd held me after that fight. his hand on my swollen belly, whispering, "The baby's making you emotional. I'm investing in our future. Do you not trust me after 7 years?" I'd found his second phone last Tuesday, hidden in his gym bag, and when I'd confronted him, he'd turned it around on me. "It's for international clients, different time zones. You're 8 months pregnant. Why are you going through my things? This isn't healthy, Sarah. Maybe you should talk to someone about these trust issues." What would you have done at this point? My mother had even taken his side when I'd called her crying. "Men need space, Sarah. You're suffocating him with these accusations. Your father had his secrets too, and look how happy we were. Happy until he left her for his secretary. But apparently, that was different. The business dinner he'd attended while I was at my baby shower, my own baby shower, showed up on the credit card statement as a $400 couples massage at the Ritz-Carlton. And when I'd asked about it, he'd laughed, actually laughed at me. Team building with potential investors. You wouldn't understand the culture, babe. Not everything is about you. But it was about me, about us, about the baby who was fighting her way into the world while her father was fleeing to a country with no extradition treaty. Or so he thought. Between contractions that were coming faster now, James worked magic on his laptop, his tech CEO skills finally being put to use for something more important than disrupting whatever industry he was disrupting this week. "Sarah, he's been planning this for months," he said, showing me Marcus's email to a Dubai law firm about asset protection from a vindictive spouse dated 6 months ago when I was just starting to show, when we were picking out nursery colors, when he'd cried at the ultrasound. The cloud backup I'd set up for him because he was too busy to deal with technical stuff was providing everything. Photos of him and Brittany in Cabo when he was supposedly closing the Henderson deal. WhatsApp messages where he bragged about how I'd be too distracted with the baby to notice the missing money. How the prenup only covered assets I knew about, with a winking emoji that made me want to reach through the screen and strangle him. 8 centimeters, almost there, the doctor announced. But I was focused on James's screen as he uncovered more evidence the Dubai company Marcus had incorporated 6 months ago. Morrison International Holdings, the business loan documents with my signature practiced on a notepad he'd photographed and thought he'd deleted. "Sarah, push!" the doctor commanded, but James whispered urgently, "There's more." He's been transferring property titles. The vacation house in Tahoe that your dad left you, sold last week without your knowledge. I screenshot everything between pushes. My investment analyst brain cataloging every detail, every timestamp, every IP address, creating a folder labeled Evidence, while my body did what bodies have been doing since the beginning of time. The metadata alone would bury him in court, but I needed more, needed everything, needed to destroy him as thoroughly as he tried to destroy me. "Wait!" I gasped to James between contractions. "Call grandfather's lawyer, now. William Chen." James looked confused because everyone thought my grandfather had disinherited me when I married Marcus against his wishes. But that was the story we'd let everyone believe. The trust was secret, protected, waiting for this exact moment, the birth of my first child. Grandfather had never trusted Marcus, had seen through the charm and the expensive suits to the con artist beneath, and he'd structured everything to protect me from exactly this situation. If you're still watching, hit that like button. This is where it gets good. William arrived at 8:23 a.m., just as Charlotte, 6 pounds, 8 ounces of perfect innocence, took her first breath, and he set his leather briefcase on the hospital table with the satisfied smile of a man about to deliver long-awaited justice. Your grandfather's trust activates upon the birth of your first child, William said, pulling out documents that smelled like old money and patience. $50 million, transferred to your sole control as of, he checked his watch with theatrical precision, 8:23 a.m. this morning. Have you ever been gaslit into thinking you were poor while sitting on a fortune? James's laptop pinged with new discoveries. Marcus had been having affairs for 3 years, 5 women that we could document, and the golf weekends were actually sex addiction retreats he never attended, just charged to our credit cards, while he was with whoever was newest, the company he'd built, the one he was so proud of, the one that made him feel superior to my little nonprofit job, was built entirely on embezzled funds from his previous employer. They just hadn't caught him yet, but they would now. There's more, William said gravely, sliding me a folder that felt heavier than Charlotte in my arms. The private investigator your grandfather hired. Yes, he never trusted Marcus. Has been documenting everything for 2 years. Inside were photos that made my stomach turn. Marcus at fertility clinics with other women, trying to get them pregnant for their trust funds, because apparently I wasn't his first attempted con. My best friend Kelly finally texted what she'd been hiding. I'm sorry I never told you. I saw him at the Fairmont with someone else last year. He threatened my husband's job if I said anything. Please forgive me. The depth of it hit me as Charlotte cried for the first time. Our entire marriage was a con from day one. The whirlwind romance when he'd learned about my family connections, though not about the trust which grandfather had kept secret, even from me. The quick proposal after 6 months. The fertility struggles that weren't struggles at all, but him taking testosterone to lower his sperm count, hoping to delay pregnancy while he drained our accounts slowly enough that I wouldn't notice. We built the legal team from my hospital bed while Charlotte slept. Sylvia Martinez, international asset recovery specialist, and former FBI financial crimes investigator, David Kim, who traced Bernie Madoff's funds and found them in places everyone said were impossible. Rachel Torres, social media strategist who promised to destroy him digitally before we destroyed him legally, and Ahmad Hassan, a Dubai-based attorney with connections to the royal family who owed my grandfather a favor from decades ago. Your grandfather was wise, William noted, as he organized the growing pile of evidence. The trust includes a prosecution fund, unlimited legal resources to protect you and Charlotte, and to ensure that men like Marcus learn that there are still consequences in this world. Sylvia's eyes were sharp behind her designer glasses as she laid out the plan. International child abandonment during birth is prosecutable in 127 countries, including the UAE. Dubai won't shelter him from that. He made one critical error. He fled during the commission of multiple crimes, and he did it to a country that takes abandonment of women and children very seriously when it's properly presented. What was your favorite moment so far? Drop it in the comments below. For 3 days, I didn't call him, didn't text, didn't post on social media. Let him think I was destroyed, overwhelmed with a newborn, too broken to fight back. He texted twice, the casual cruelty of it making my skin crawl. How's the baby? And don't try anything stupid. The prenup is ironclad. I responded once. Charlotte is beautiful. Please just leave us alone. And attached a photo of our daughter, her perfect little face that looked nothing like him, thank God. Let him see what he abandoned. Let it eat at him later when he was rotting in whatever cell we put him in. Meanwhile, the machine worked quietly. Ahmad sent video from Dubai of Marcus and Brittany at Zero Gravity Beach, spending my money on champagne worth more than Maria's monthly salary, bragging to anyone who'd listen about being finally free from that ball and chain. She was so boring, so predictable. The investigator found more evidence that made me grateful Charlotte would never know her father, He'd been telling people I was abusive, that he feared for his safety, that the baby might not be his, creating his narrative while I was creating life. Could you stay silent while your world rebuilt itself in secret? James monitored Marcus's spending in real time, $47,000 in 3 days. Brittany's Instagram showing the shopping sprees, the yacht rentals, the suite at Burj Al Arab, every post tagged and located and screenshot for evidence. William filed the international freeze orders while I learned to breastfeed. The criminal abandonment charges were prepared while Charlotte learned to latch. And the FBI was notified about the wire fraud while I figured out how to change a diaper with hands that still shook from rage. September 24th arrived like Christmas morning, if Christmas involved international arrest warrants and frozen assets. I was nursing Charlotte at 9 a.m. Dubai time when James's 8-screen setup lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. "Here we go," he said, and I watched Marcus's world implode in real time. 9:01 a.m. He tried to withdraw from his Dubai National Bank account. Frozen. 9:03 a.m. The Swiss account he thought I didn't know about. Frozen. 9:07 a.m. His credit cards declining at the Burj Al Arab checkout while Brittany stood there with her shopping bags, her face shifting from confusion to panic. Ahmad texted video of Marcus in the hotel lobby, arguing with management, his voice getting higher and more desperate as they called security, as he pulled out card after card that wouldn't work, as he realized that the prenup he kept mentioning didn't matter when you committed crimes. The FBI raid on his San Francisco office went live on local news at 9:15 a.m. Tech executive wanted for international wire fraud and criminal abandonment. And I watched his employees scatter like roaches when you turn on the light. TheRealMarcusMorrison.com went live at 9:18 a.m. Every receipt, every message, every photo of him living in luxury while his newborn daughter was in NICU with jaundice. Nothing serious, but he didn't know that, didn't care to know that. Rachel reported 100,000 views in 3 minutes, then 500,000, then 1 million, as the story spread faster than Marcus could run. At 9:22 a.m., his phone started ringing. I could see it in Ahmad's video. Marcus standing in the Burj lobby, watching his life crumble on his phone screen, while Brittany backed away like he was contagious, her face a mask of horror as she read what the world now knew about the man she'd helped destroy a family. Dubai authorities arrived at 9:25 a.m. with the international warrant for criminal abandonment during childbirth, and the handcuffs clicked as Charlotte finished nursing, a moment of perfect cosmic timing that made me believe in karma for the first time since finding those receipts. His mother called at 9:30 a.m. "Sarah, what have you done?" And I told her the truth. Nothing. He did this to himself. I just made sure everyone knew. Comment below if you saw this coming. Social media exploded with the Duran Dubai deserter, trending worldwide, his company's stock dropping 47% in an hour, and Brittany posting a tearful video claiming she had no idea he was married, no idea I was giving birth, no idea about anything, despite the receipts showing her shopping for push presents for herself with my money. The video of his arrest has 50 million views now. Someone in the Burj lobby filmed everything. Marcus in his $5,000 shirt being handcuffed, while Brittany screamed about her money that was never hers, was never even his. CNN picked it up with the headline, "Tech Executive Abandons Wife During Labor, Flees to Dubai with Mistress and $847,000. And Anderson Cooper's disgusted face became a meme that still makes me smile. The best part was his investor meeting being live-streamed when the authorities walked in. The moment is already spliced into TikToks with Karma by Taylor Swift, and I watch it sometimes when Charlotte won't sleep, finding peace in his panic. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. My statement, released through William, was simple. I was blessed with a beautiful daughter on September 15th. Her father chose to miss her birth to pursue a life of deception in Dubai. I'm grateful to the international authorities for ensuring he faces justice for abandoning us during our most vulnerable moment. Charlotte and I are doing well, surrounded by family who actually know what that word means. His family released their own statement denouncing him, his mother saying they were appalled and disgusted that Sarah and Charlotte had their full support, though I noticed she didn't mention returning the family heirloom ring she'd insisted I didn't deserve. The prenup he'd been so confident about was nullified by criminal abandonment and fraud. Turns out, contracts don't protect you when you commit felonies, and the hidden assets he thought were safe were being liquidated for restitution plus damages plus Charlotte's child support for the next 18 years. His mugshot dropped that evening, and orange really didn't suit him. It brought out the cowardice in his eyes, the weakness he'd hidden behind expensive suits and practiced smiles. Comments flooded in from women around the world. The audacity! Imagine being this stupid. She was literally in labor, and my favorite, he thought he married a victim. But he married a warrior. Then the messages started. 17 women by midnight. All with similar stories, but smaller scales. The medical student whose boyfriend drained her loans, the teacher whose husband disappeared with her inheritance, the nurse whose fiancé stole her identity. We were just the crescendo of his pattern, and I realized that Charlotte's birth story had become a cautionary tale heard around the world, a reminder that sometimes the person sleeping next to you is planning your destruction. Marcus called from Dubai detention 47 times over the next week, the messages progressing from angry to bargaining to begging. Sarah, please, it was a mistake. Then, the prenup protects you anyway. Why do this? Then think of Charlotte. She needs a father. Then, I'll give it all back. Then just please. And finally, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They're extraditing me tomorrow. I didn't answer a single call, but I saved every voicemail for Charlotte to hear someday. If she ever questions why she doesn't have a father, let her hear his cowardice, his desperation, his complete inability to take responsibility, even when caught red-handed. Brittany sold her story to the Daily Mail for $50,000 with the headline, "I was conned too." But the internet doesn't forget, and someone found her deleted tweets from 6 months ago about manifesting a rich husband and securing the bag with photos of her and Marcus from a year ago, proving she knew everything all along. November 15th arrived with the kind of poetic justice that makes you believe the universe has a sense of humor. Marcus looked smaller in his federal jumpsuit. The tan faded, the swagger extinct. His lawyer arguing for leniency with phrases like momentary lapse in judgment and stress of impending fatherhood and cultural differences with his new partner that made the judge, a 60-year-old mother of 4, raise her eyebrows so high they nearly disappeared into her hairline. The prosecutor presented everything. The premeditation going back years, the forged documents with my signature practiced like a child learning cursive, the abandoned infant who needed medical attention, the pattern of fraud spanning multiple women across multiple states. I testified via video link because Charlotte needed me at home, and I was calm, factual, devastating. He didn't just leave. He stole everything and left us with nothing, while I was physically unable to stop him. If not for my grandfather's foresight, Charlotte and I would be homeless today. The forensic accountant testified about the $2.3 million in hidden assets discovered across 17 accounts in 11 countries, each one opened with a slightly different version of his name, each one funded with money stolen from someone who loved him. His sentence came down like a hammer. 8 years federal prison, deportation upon release, because it turned out his citizenship had issues too. Full restitution, plus damages, plus lifetime child support, and a lifetime restraining order that meant he could never come within 500 feet of Charlotte or me. The criminal abandonment conviction meant he lost all parental rights. Charlotte was legally mine alone. Her birth certificate amended to remove his name like he'd never existed. His mother approached me after the verdict, looking older than her years. "I'm sorry. We failed him, and he failed you worse." She handed me a check for $200,000, the inheritance she was leaving him. For Charlotte's education, it's what my late husband would want. He always said Marcus was too smooth for his own good. Share your own experience if something similar happened to you. 6 months later, Charlotte laughed for the first time, really laughed, as I was reading the New York Times profile about our story. From betrayal to billions, the Sarah Chen Morrison story. The trust fund had grown to $63 million under my management, and the nonprofit I run now has unlimited funding to help women escape financial abuse. 157 women so far, each one a victory against men like Marcus, who think women are too weak, too trusting, too emotional to fight back. Marcus writes from prison sometimes, but I return every letter unopened, though I know from his commissary account that he's surviving on ramen noodles and instant coffee, a far cry from the champagne brunches he was planning with my money. The house is mine now, redecorated in light colors that Marcus would have hated, filled with Charlotte's toys and laughter instead of his lies and designer suits. The nursery he never saw is perfect in soft yellows, like sunshine after storms, with a rocking chair where I tell Charlotte stories about her great-grandfather who protected us from beyond the grave. Stanford Business School invited me to speak about Trust but Verify, a case study in financial protection, and the auditorium was packed with young women taking notes like their lives depended on it, because maybe they did. The first slide was Marcus's mugshot. The last was Charlotte's smile. And in between was every lesson I learned about protecting yourself from the person who claims to love you most. His company went bankrupt within a month of his arrest, his reputation so thoroughly destroyed that even his former partners changed their company names to distance themselves. Britney's influencer career ended the day she was arrested at JFK, trying to return with 3 suitcases of goods purchased with stolen funds. She flipped immediately, testifying against him for immunity. But the internet never forgave her. Someone recognized her last week working at a mall kiosk selling phone cases, and the video has 4 million views with the caption, "Karma is patient but not kind." Charlotte pulls herself up now, standing on legs that will never run after a man who doesn't deserve her, with eyes that will see through lies because her mother learned to see too late, but not too late to save us both. "Your daughter will never doubt her worth," Maria said during her last visit, watching Charlotte play with blocks that cost more than Maria makes in a month. But Maria doesn't care about money. She cares that Charlotte is loved, protected, safe. You've made sure of that. She'll grow up knowing that when someone shows you who they are, you believe them the first time, not the 50th. The trust fund will be Charlotte's someday, but the real inheritance is harder to quantify. It's knowing that you can survive betrayal, that you can build from ashes, that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing when it shows you exactly how strong you've always been. Marcus thought he was leaving us with nothing, but instead, he left us with everything. Without him, Charlotte doesn't know that her birth made me a phoenix, that her first breath activated not just a trust fund, but a transformation, that she saved me as much as I saved her. She just knows she's loved, knows she's wanted, knows that mama will always choose her, will always fight for her, will always show up, unlike the stranger in the orange jumpsuit who gave her nothing but DNA, she'll hopefully never express. Remember, you deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who abandons you at your most vulnerable moment. For a woman who thinks Dubai is a personality trait. If this story of justice resonated with you, please hit that like button right now. It helps other women find these stories when they need them most. What was your favorite moment? Drop it in the comments below. Was it when his cards got declined? When the handcuffs clicked? Or when he realized the prenup was worthless? Share your own experience if something similar happened to you. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and you're definitely not weak. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next story of someone who thought they could destroy a woman and learned exactly how wrong they were. Remember that you are stronger than you know, smarter than they think, and worth more than someone who would betray you could ever understand. Share this with someone who might need to hear it, who might be going through something similar, who might need a reminder that there's life after betrayal. Beautiful, abundant, joyful life. Charlotte and I are proof of that. Living our best life with $50 million and 0 toxic men. And honestly, we've never been happier.